All right, y'all, welcome to the show. Welcome. Sit back, relax, pucker your booty holes. It's about to get wild in here because I have some mind-blowing stuff. The segment we did the other day on Epstein, just absolute, like seriously losing my mind over that, all the stuff we learned. But I have about the same amount of stuff to give you today in new leaks and new emails and new Epstein files. This stuff is, again, I'm losing my mind here. My jaw is hitting the floor as I'm reading the specifics. So we're going to get to that in just a second. New updates. We have the Department of Justice mass scrubbing the Epstein files with Trump's name. So even though the cat's out of the bag, they're still desperately trying to do a cover-up of at least certain aspects of the Epstein files. Later on, we'll discuss a MAGA man assaults a high school girl and instantly regrets it. We have the Epstein class playing Joe Rogan like a fiddle and using him. And then we also have Trump crashing out in the White House over the Epstein files in the most glorious fashion imaginable. So you guys know the drill, man. Everybody do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. You can also click that bell icon so you get a notification every single time a video drops. That's a way to protect you from the algorithm and protect us from the algorithm because you know YouTube is not too fond of political channels. So you got to find a way to make sure you get this content. So subscribe, click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon. That link is below. Remember, this is real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I've never talked to a billionaire, never talked to government or anything like that. This is true grassroots media from the ground up. You guys made it what it is. So thank you again to everybody who supports on Patreon. Thank you again to everybody who tips with the thanks button on YouTube. And of course, thank you to everybody who subscribes to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That link is below if you'd like to do that. And of course, go sub to Corin's World because we do live Kyle and Corin episodes there every single Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss that. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right in ski. So guys, remember, what have we learned so far about the Epstein files? What we learned is there's effectively a shadow government of moneyed interests that really runs the world. And Jeffrey Epstein was one of those people. He was part of the shadow government of moneyed interests. And effectively, this might sound hyperbolic, but it's not based on what we've learned. It really is a cabal of pedophile, rapist, billionaire sadists. And the other thing we've learned is extreme wealth and privilege effectively rots your soul to the point where you don't view other humans as human. You view them as subhuman, you view them as animals, and you end up doing stuff like hunting them, for example. Yes, quite literally, and we'll talk about that in a little bit because I believe we have some emails that get into that. So this is what we've learned so far, and it is absolutely mind-boggling. We're talking about pedophilia, we're talking about rape, we're talking about torture, we're talking about murder, we're talking about the crimes of all crimes and this tight-knit class that views themselves as genuinely and sincerely above the law, okay? So with that being said, let's start with this. Jeffrey Epstein asked a woman to buy a Snow White costume 3 weeks before former Barclays chief executive emailed him about the Disney character. So prepare yourselves, because there's a number of examples of wealthy, powerful men saying, hey, can you get me a girl to dress like a Disney character so I can have my way with them? Not kidding. I'm not kidding. In fact, Emily from Breaking Points found this one. Unknown sender, but I think we know who it is now. The Snow White was effed twice as soon as she put on her costume. My God. Again, the stuff that they just say in emails, it's kind of weird because half the time they seem to use code language, like when they say pizza and Chinese cookie and stuff like that. But then the other half the time, they're like, I sure do love committing crimes with you. Isn't it wonderful when we rape those kids? Like they say shit like this, right? All right, more from the bottom up here. This is from Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Attia, who, by the way, Barry Weiss is still fighting to keep him at CBS, even though he was outed as one of the worst Epstein perverts, okay? Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Attia in 2015. Where are you? I might be in LA Monday, Burbank, to look at the interior of the other BBJ. Tonight, dinner with Musk, Thiel, and Zuckerberg. This is Jeffrey Epstein in 2015 saying, I have a dinner with Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Mark Zuckerberg. Guys, he was convicted of sex crimes in 2008. Here we are in 2015, and some of the world's most powerful, wealthy billionaires are meeting with him. Again, the amount of power this man had, it's impossible to wrap your mind around it. Okay, how about this one? Political Punk says, This seemingly innocuous line in the Elon emails holds a lot of the Epstein story, sending the heli for people, because FAA Part 91 allows private, non-commercial helicopters to move passengers with no records, no manifests or passenger lists. Epstein Island and Zorro Ranch in New Mexico both had private helipads. So many, if not most of the men participating in the Epstein sex trade were going to Zorro or going to the island without anybody knowing. We haven't even scratched the surface. And Zorro Ranch in New Mexico never even got searched. Local cops tried to during Trump's first term, but the DOJ shut it down and then never searched it. We need the rest of the Epstein files. There is way more to this story. This is not the end, just the beginning. And then you could see here in an email from Elon Musk to Jeffrey Epstein, I will send heli for you. So basically the point that he's making here is a lot of this shit is not trackable. They didn't track them. They didn't keep any records of it. And so, yeah, we're just scratching the surface here. And then, by the way, of course, I need to point out, a lot of the perpetrators are just redacted, totally in contravention of the law. They redacted them. And a lot of the victims, unfortunately, they doxed. It was supposed to be the opposite of that. The victims get protected. The perpetrators do not, but they're bending over backwards to do the reverse. Trump's DOJ is. Gee, I wonder why. Could it be because they're trying to protect intelligence assets? Could it be because, as we learned the other day, that the Epstein network is still in action? It is still active? Wild stuff. So look at this, guys. Epstein tells a French diplomat that he's on his island in the Caribbean, quote, with an aquarium full of girls, and compares them to shrimp. Quote, you throw away the head and keep the body. Huh? So from the bottom up here, Jeffrey Epstein to Colum Olivier, on my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. The king of Saudi Arabia has a few white sharks at his Jeddah place. I totally prefer yours. Sure, I would enjoy the view. As two are Russian, I guess some might refer to them as white sharks. As long as you don't have any hammerhead ones. I like white sharks. No, some are like shrimp. You throw away the head and keep the body. I don't even want to know, if I'm being honest with you. I don't even want to know what kind of fucking weird code they're speaking in there and what that actually means. All right, Peter Mandelson from the UK Labour Party asked Jeffrey Epstein how the boy is doing following an appointment at his island. How is the boy doing? This is a guy, by the way, who now lost his position as a direct result of his close ties to Epstein, which proves that in some places there are some repercussions and some consequences for being close with Epstein. In the UK, we've seen that. In Slovakia, somebody lost their political position as a result of that. But here in the US, the president was outed as a blackmailed pedophile rapist and is largely skating on it. The media is barely pushing him on it. The Democrats aren't even mentioning it. I mean, it is mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling how easy this man gets away when what we're seeing here is literally the scandal of all scandals. It is blowing my mind that we're one of the only outlets that are going deep on the actual emails and on the actual files. Jeffrey Epstein wrote this in 2014 to one of the Rothschilds. Yes, that family, that Rothschilds family, okay? Quote, Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. That's how elites discuss crisis in private. To one of the Rothschilds from Epstein. Ukraine upheaval should provide many opportunities. Many. Jesus Christ, man. And by the way, there's another email where he says he represents the Rothschilds. So again, you want to talk about connected. He has connections to high-ranking government positions in every single country, or not every single one, but every single one aligned with the West, I think it's fair to say. And then also you're representing the Rothschilds and you're running a blackmail honeypot network and you're working with intelligence. This is just insane. All right, how about this one? The origin story of Peter Thiel and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship, 2009. So here's an email from Epstein to this guy, John Brockman, okay? I'm on the case regarding Thiel. Let's talk tomorrow. I'm at the farm. But why Thiel, another libertarian type, and not Elon Musk, a truly brilliant physicist who you would benefit from knowing? Quote, Peter Thiel professes that he is unable to engage in what he terms acceptable compromise politics. He considers democracy a failed experiment, drawing into doubt the wisdom of granting women and the poor voting rights. This position received hard criticism. So in other words, what's happening here is this guy's telling Epstein, hey, the reason why you want to get close with Thiel is because he despises democracy just like you do, and he thinks women shouldn't have the right to vote, and poor people shouldn't have the right to vote just like you do. He's an old-school, authoritarian, elitist snob, just like you are, and so you guys are really going to get along well. And again, this is the shadow government running the world, and they're telling you what they really think about shit. Look at this. So Ghislaine Maxwell's dad tried to shake down the Mossad for $400 million, and surprise, that didn't end well for him. The dude fell off his posh yacht and died. So Ghislaine Maxwell's dad worked with Mossad. He was a well-known Mossad asset, right? And then at the end of his life, he killed himself or had an accident where he fell off his boat. But according to Epstein, what he says in this email is effectively, he basically told Mossad, pay me $400 million or else I spill the secrets. And then Mossad was like, or how about we just kill you? And they killed him, right? This is what Epstein says. And remember, of course, he was super close with Ghislaine Maxwell, the daughter. So he tried to effectively blackmail Mossad and was out over his skis, and they killed him. The revelations in the Epstein files are beyond a leftist fever dream of how elites work. The CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, was using a pedophile financier as an intermediary to stop a banker's bonus tax. When the call happened, Dimon threatened Chancellor Darling. This is gangsterism. So what you see here throughout his emails is that he had foreknowledge of like every major global political and economic event. And they would use Jeffrey Epstein. Bankers would use Jeffrey Epstein to apply pressure to governments to get their way. Because again, the real people running the world, it is a shadow government of moneyed interests, of which Jeffrey Epstein was one of the top of them. We're learning so much about how the world works. Like I said the other day, the world will literally never be the same after these Jeffrey Epstein files. It will never be the same, okay? Crystal was looking through the files, and she just found this one. Ready? To somebody from Jeffrey Epstein. With you as sex naive and me, it's like Beauty and the Beast. Sex naive. Again, that begs the question, how old is this person that you're talking to? Oh, you're sex naive, and I'm experienced. It's like Beauty and the Beast. Oh my God. Epstein, shocked, breaking story, didn't connect Trump to himself. So this is kind of an amazing peek in this world, because how they felt about Trump is like, how the fuck is homie still getting away with shit? He gets caught every other day doing some crazy shit, saying some crazy shit. They pull up some crazy shit from his past. This would tank anybody else. And here you have Jeffrey Epstein going, how the fuck did this guy get away scot-free on a story that should have tanked him? So here it says, I'm kind of shocked that our reporters did not contact you regarding the Trump women story. Seems that he got off rather lightly. So remember, guys, Epstein was plotting with Steve Bannon because the story was supposed to come out of like, hey, Trump was with one of the victims at Epstein's house in, I believe it was 2011. And by the way, his house was bugged, so there's video of the president doing horrific stuff with underage girls. He's totally blackmailed, right? But they were plotting, hey, well, how should Trump answer if asked this question? Because it's coming. They know about it. It's coming. And then it never fucking came. It's just unbelievable. Like, you have the president of the United States is a blackmailed pedophile rapist, beyond any doubt. There's videos and pictures in a vault in Moscow and in Tel Aviv and, with the CIA, and nothing. Again, he skated on it to the point where even Epstein was like, hey, this is kind of weird. How does he keep getting away with this shit? All right, this one, just prepare yourselves. Daily Mail says, Hollywood publicist Peggy Siegel offered to bring Jeffrey Epstein a little baby back for you or two from her trip to Africa and told him it would be so Madonna. You're going to see this more and more, guys, but not only was this like human trafficking in the sense that they were taking like teenage girls. No, there's reason to believe now this included like literal babies. Like they were abusing babies, harming babies, raping babies. And the more you read, the more you find that out. That, again, as deep and dark as you think it goes, you don't have the ability to conceptualize just how much worse it is. All right, look at this. This person says, remember those reported safaris wealthy people took to wartime Sarajevo to shoot civilians with impunity? That was a crazy story, but it's true. Ready? Look at this. In June 2011, American billionaire Tom Pritzker told Epstein that he was in a remote valley of Afghanistan with armed soldiers. Quote, toys and boys. It was his birthday wish. General Petraeus helped out. So if you read here to Epstein from this guy, Tom Pritzker, I am in a remote valley of Afghanistan. It's my birthday wish with boys with toys. Spent time with Petraeus yesterday and he loaned me a chopper. Actually two with one as backup. Can't call till tomorrow. So the question is, was this guy, this wealthy asshole, this elite asshole in Afghanistan because he wanted to murder people with impunity, Or was he there because he wanted to do horrible things to underage boys? Or was it a mix thereof? But it's definitely one of those things. Those are the only things on the menu, y'all. All right, Epstein and Maxwell bury 2 foreign kids who were strangled to death during rough fetish sex. From Eddie Aragon to Redacted. And then you can see here, Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it. But this one comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staffer at the Zorro. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G, that's Ghislaine Maxwell. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein, and then sends a bunch of links here. Please arrange 1 Bitcoin by 6 p.m. today, Thursday. This is 2019. To the Bitcoin wallet, whatever, they redacted that. But this is crazy. And then, by the way, I don't know if I have this as my links as we continue here, but tied to this story, somebody wound up dead. There was a New Mexico politician who wound up dead, okay, and died at like 50-something, and, there was like no cause of death written or something like that. Like, what the fuck what is going on? This is so crazy. This is so crazy. All right. Sultan bin Sulayem gives Epstein Quran lessons on friendship between Muslim Jews and Christians. Sultan ends his inspiring lesson with the words, "I am off to sample a fresh 100% female Russian on my yacht." Jesus Christ. And this guy, this Sultan, man, did he love opening up to Jeffrey. He thought Jeffrey was his best friend. He seemingly had no idea it was a blackmail operation and a honeypot, and he was working with intelligence. He just thought that Jeffrey's my bestie. And, I'm this Muslim and he's this Jew, and, we're an odd couple and we love each other and we say all. It just so disturbing when you read through the emails with this dude. All right. From Brian Krasenstein, massive breaking. We identified the unknown man flying on Epstein's plane in the Epstein files, former South African ambassador to France from 2024. Okay. Listen to this story. This is insane. He posted the video. He found it. He posted it. The people responded and were searching for his identity. They figured out who he was, and then we learned this.
So Ed posted a video right here yesterday showing a man on what appears to be Jeffrey Epstein's plane with a bunch of young women. Well, we've just been able to identify who this man is, and his name is Nathi Tetwa. He was the former South African ambassador to France before he died in 2025. Now, listen to this.
The Tetwa family says there are still unanswered questions about the circumstances of the death of South Africa's ambassador to France, Nathi Tetwa. He was found dead in France earlier this week after falling, apparently from the 22nd floor of a hotel in Paris.
The Epstein files just keep getting more and more interesting.
I mean, they're terrifying. This is flat out terrifying. Again, every time you think you hit the core of it and the bottom of it, it gets worse. It gets worse. All right, Jim Stewartson says, why were Peter Thiel's dietary restrictions redacted from this meeting with Jeffrey Epstein in February of 2016? From Alyssa Beckins on February 3rd, 2016, hi, Peter mentioned he is heading to Jeff's tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. So that's Peter Thiel meeting with Jeffrey Epstein, 9:30 a.m. Remember, he told Joe Rogan, who, Epstein? I'm not even that, I only got tax advice. I met him a couple times and it was about tax advice and shit, bro. Wrong. They had a much closer relationship than he let on. Okay. In the event they eat breakfast, here's a list of Peter's dietary restrictions for your chef. Please let me know if anything changes or you need anything. Alyssa, and then you read through and this is fucking all redacted. It's all fucking redacted. Why would dietary restrictions be redacted? Unless dietary restrictions is code word and they're saying something else there. They're explaining something else that he's into and it's not food, right? What is this? By the way, we need so many people in the DOJ to be locked up. They need to be locked up because they did not abide by the letter of the law or the spirit of the law. They're redacting so much shit they have no right to redact. And they're doing it to protect intelligence agencies, to protect our allies, to protect the billionaire rapist pedophiles who run the world. That's what they're doing. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody. All right, more. And we had a lot more on Peter Thiel the other day, too, if you go watch our segment from the other day. I believe it's titled, The Epstein Files Just Changed the World Forever. Go watch that segment if you haven't yet, because there's just as much juicy stuff, insane stuff coming out of there. Okay. Epstein and Steve Bannon's nauseating conversation about China. So here's some of the stuff they say. Quote, peasants, fortune cookie language, eating rats for breakfast. We will break them. So if you go here, I'll click it. You guys can see they're going back and forth on it. Clearly, these are like Western supremacists, and they look down on China, and they're incredibly disrespectful toward the Chinese, and they're super oppositional in how they talk about them, and incredibly bigoted and xenophobic in how they talk about them. And of course, the irony of all this is that China is now very clearly eating the lunch of the United States of America and slapping us around. And we're in rapid imperial decline as they are ascending. Every time you think you've reached the terminus of the Epstein network's depravity, there's some new cavernous hole in the files to leap down. Jesus Christ. Subject, quote, snipe hunt is over, moon crickets in field bag. Guess what? They're N-words. Subject, snipe hunt is over, moon crickets in field bag. Guess what? They're N-words. My God. CBS News star hire Peter Attia set meeting with Epstein while his infant son fought for his life in hospital. Yes, his infant son was potentially dying, and he was like, oh, I got important work I got to attend to, so I'm not going to be at the hospital with my wife. And where was he? Having a meeting with Jeffrey Epstein. This motherfucker said, if I don't see Jeffrey Epstein for long stretches, I go into Jeffrey Epstein withdrawal. He said, you know what the craziest thing about being friends with you is? I would love to tell people about the amazing life you live, but I can't tell a soul. Weird. Why, Peter Attia? Can you not tell a soul? It's almost like you know exactly what he's in the business of, and you have no moral qualms about it whatsoever. In fact, you're intrigued by him, and you'd rather hang out with him than be with your son who's potentially fucking dying. What a scumbag. Barry Weiss is still fighting for this guy to be part of CBS. And even the Ellisons are going, really? Really? Understand, great Jeet Here thread the other day. We talked about it on the show. Barry Weiss is trying to, revive the Epstein network. CBS is like, the Epstein news now. It's all people who are in the Epstein files who are going to be mouthpieces for the regime and for Israel. It's a fucking op. It's a total op, the new CBS is. Peter Attia, I never visited Epstein's island or ranch. This is what he said in his way too long, pseudo-apology over this, right? Here's Attia's assistant in 2015. Below are Peter's flight details for his trip to Jeffrey's ranch next week. So yeah, so much for that, bro. I was never there. Oh, wait, there's literal files that say that I was exactly there? Oh, oops. God, there's such... I don't want to hear from any of these people. Reid Hoffman, shut the fuck up. Get out of politics. Stop donating to politicians. I don't give a fuck that you donated to Democrats. You're fucking tainted. You're dirty. We want nothing to do with you. Peter Attia, shut the fuck up and go away. Bill Gates, shut the fuck up and go away. I don't want to hear from you guys. There's no amount of bullshitting that's going to make people go, oh, that's okay. Maybe he wasn't as close with Epstein as it looked in the emails and in the text messages and in the files. Even though there's 17,000 pages of these people giggling like little schoolgirls with Jeffrey Epstein. Unbelievable. Jeffrey Epstein victim had baby fathered by the pedophile snatched away 10 minutes after birth. Billionaire had multiple secret children and hoped to create superior gene pool. So one of the things that we're learning now is that he was absolutely into Nazi-style eugenics. And he tried to create designer babies, okay? And he would use these young girls as incubators. Just disgusting stuff. A victim of Jeffrey Epstein had a baby fathered by the pedophile snatched away 10 minutes after birth, according to the latest tranche of files released by the U.S. Department of Justice on Friday. Buried in the 3 million documents is a diary entry of one of Epstein's victims who alleges to have given birth to a baby girl in about 2002 when she would have been 16 or 17 years old. The victim expresses discomfort at what she says was Epstein's goal to create a superior gene pool by having a baby with her, a concept she likens to Nazi ideology. Why me? It makes no sense. Why my hair color and eye color? She wrote in the diary entry. The New York Times previously reported in 2019 that the disgraced financier, he's not actually that, he never was, confided in scientists about a scheme to seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating women at his New Mexico ranch. In another email in the tranche, Sarah Ferguson congratulated the pedophile on the birth of a baby boy after he was released from jail in 2011. The former Duchess of York offered him love, friendship, and congratulations after hearing about the news from the Duke, probably referring to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, her ex-husband. So this is the other thing, right? Like, you would think this offends the sensibilities of, like, everybody. But no, people who are part of that club, they all knew about what he was doing, and they were totally fine with it. I'm telling you, man, we need mass trials, and, like, all of these billionaires and all of these elites have to go to prison. They have to go to prison. We need justice. Epstein linked to designer baby empire in latest files that reveal bid to engineer superhumans and clones. Epstein appears to have had multiple meetings with biohacker Brian Bishop about cryptocurrency and designer babies, which is genetic engineering. That's the other thing on the cryptocurrency point. There's a lot of people now pointing out he was an early investor in Coinbase. There's some speculation around Bitcoin in particular, that also could be an Israeli op. Remember, what we learned is Epstein met with that guy Moot. That guy Moot, he was a big original 4chaner. That guy Moot started the politics subreddit, the politically incorrect subreddit, which became like the hub of the entire right-wing movement that exploded online. So it is not a stretch or an exaggeration to say that a lot of people who are MAGA today, who are far right today, they were psyoped by Jeffrey Epstein and Israel into having those politics. They were psyoped into that. It was immediately after that meeting with Epstein that Moot created the politically incorrect subreddit, the /poll, or however the fuck you say it. I'm not a Reddit guy, forgive me. But I did read about this, and that was the explanation as to exactly what went down. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Yes, you were psyoped into right-wing politics by Jeffrey fucking Epstein. All right, Epstein. I've described Donald as having border wall personality disorder. He meant to say borderline personality disorder. He enjoys screwing those closest that try to help him. He knows he is not smart, so that those that win an argument fall into a category that force him to look into the mirror. Har. So this was in looks like an iMessage thing that was going back and forth with somebody here, but basically saying Trump has borderline personality disorder. Like he has a diagnosable mental illness. How about this one, man? There was a trap door which led to the sea from Epstein's house on his island. Okay? A trap door that led to the sea, and this is what it looked like. And many people have pointed out, like, what the fuck was this for, bro? Which makes you think. We already know there's allegations of at least 2 girls being killed at the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. What happened here? Did this exist to dispose of bodies if girls died with what went down over there? Because there was a lot of torture. There was a lot of torture that happened. We discussed it the last time. We got more evidence of it this time. It is just chilling. It is absolutely chilling. A one-time assistant to Jeffrey Epstein told the FBI, effectively under penalty of perjury, that the pedophile introduced Trump to his wife Melania, a newly released document shows. So we already knew from previous reporting that allegedly the first time Trump and Melania had sex was on the Lolita Express, which was Epstein's pedophile plane, right? There's already mass speculation that Melania comes out of that world, right? She's from, I think, Slovenia, and she ends up meeting Trump and marrying Trump. And the speculation is, allegedly, Epstein was the one who fucking hooked them up, right? And what we're learning now is that's what a one-time assistant to Epstein told the FBI under penalty of perjury, okay? So I know Melania is very litigious when it comes to this stuff, but, I mean, now it's become a tsunami. There's really no sticking a hole in the dike. But excuse the pun. That's actually how the pun goes. I know that doesn't sound right, given the context of what we're talking about. But, like, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So crazy. The first lady of the U.S. could have been trafficked, allegedly. And here we go. Now you have people under penalty of perjury saying that's how they met. It was Jeffrey Epstein. The more that comes out, the more you start to wonder if we even know the half of how sick these people are. Harvard professor Martin Nowak emailed Ghislaine in 2002 to thank her for her hospitality. Then out of nowhere, quote, "I am so happy that I did not kill anybody. Dear Ghislaine, many thanks again for your amazing hospitality. I'm so very sorry I caused you so much worry and that I spoiled the day. I'm so happy that I did not kill anybody. My perspective of life has changed somehow. Lots of love, Martin." Telling you, bro. I'm telling you, bro. These are depraved motherfuckers. They have to be locked up. They have to be tried. They have to be locked up. We need to free ourselves from this shadow government of moneyed interests and this cabal of pedophile, rapist, billionaire sadists. We have to free ourselves. Just absolutely incredible, incredible stuff. This one breaks my heart, y'all. I'm just telling you right now. This one breaks my fucking heart, okay? It does. It just does. So Noam Chomsky here, giving advice to Jeffrey Epstein about clearing his name when the shit hit the fan and everybody knew, hey, looks like he's sort of a pedophile human trafficker. And here's Epstein, who was close with Chomsky, and Chomsky going, hey, dog, let me help you out. So here's what he says. I've watched the horrible way you're being treated in the press and public. It's painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. I've had plenty of experience, though of course not on this scale. A Google search will bring up tons of hysterical accusations of all sorts, even groups devoted to vilifying me. I pay no attention unless I'm approached for a comment on a specific matter. It's a nuisance, but it's the best way. The same conclusions from experiences of others, in some cases close friends. What the vultures dearly want is a public response, which then provides a public opening for an onslaught of venomous attacks, many from just publicity seekers or cranks of all sorts, which are impossible to answer. How do you prove that you're not a neo-Nazi who wants to kill Jews or a rapist or whatever charge comes along? That's particularly true now with the hysteria that has developed about abuse of women. Oh, God. Oh, no, what have you done? Which has reached the point that even questioning a charge is a crime worse than murder. For virtually everyone who sees any of this, the reaction will be, where there's smoke, there's fire, maybe raging fire. Whatever the facts, which few will even think of investigating. In general, it's best, I think, not to react unless directly questioned, particularly in the current mood, which I presume will fade away, even if not in time to prevent much torture and distress. Hard to say, but it's the best advice I could think of. Noam. God, man, that hurts. You have one of the most prominent leftists and one of the most ardent critics of Israel, and the Mossad agent, pedophile human trafficker befriended him, and you got to say, it worked. It worked to sort of degrade the reputation of Noam Chomsky, because here's Noam Chomsky offering loving, friendly advice to a guy who we now know is literally one of the one of the biggest monsters historically. Just absolutely atrocious stuff, man. I don't think there's any coming back from this for Noam. I really don't. Brian Krasenstein says, I want to know why the fuck Pam Bondi redacted the name of the person who sent this email to Epstein. Quote, new Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 9 years old. Okay, Jesus Christ. So from redacted to Epstein, it literally says, new Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, 9 years old. The fact that they're protecting this person and redacting this, and the fact that they're not immediately launching an investigation and immediately trying to arrest this person, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? So now it's perfectly legal to be a pedophile and a human trafficker, a child trafficker, if you're wealthy enough, if you're connected enough, if you're elite enough? This is a slap in the face to every American. It insults our intelligence to say, we're done with this now. The next Democrat to win the White House, you got to run on this. The number one thing to run on is, we are going to bring accountability. We are going to bring justice. We are going to arrest the motherfuckers. The Epstein class is going down. They are going down. That's all you need to say, 17,000 ways, and you will waltz your way into the White House, okay? This is incredible. This is incredible. Now this shit gets somehow even creepier, y'all. It gets somehow even creepier. Ready? Jeffrey Epstein's assistant bought a single unlabeled $8,453 item from Wayfair. A single unlabeled $8,453 item from Wayfair, and you can see that here, okay? There was a conspiracy going back, I want to say it was 3 years ago now, something like that, where people were connecting the dots and they found out that there are many sales on Wayfair where the product has the same first name of the first name of a missing child. And they were selling the products for way higher than what you would expect for a Wayfair product, right? It'd be $13,000, $8,000, and in that ballpark. And it would be the name of it would be the same name of a missing child. And so there was speculation that there's this weird human trafficking thing going on that somehow Wayfair is involved in. And now I hate to say it, but now that actually needs to be investigated also. Now we actually need an investigation into that also, because we get shit like this coming out of the Epstein files. Is it possible he just was buying something here that was this expensive from Wayfair? Is that possible? Yeah. But given the fact that conspiracy was already out there and that there were already some strange things about it, this absolutely would need to be investigated. 100%. Because how can we actually rule it out given what we know already? Just incredible. Incredible. Again, I I told you, the world's never going to be the same after these new Epstein files. It's just, we're never going to be the same. Disturbing file with details and names of elites who tortured children. And then you get this creepy here. I'll read it to you. Confidential for attorneys, eyes only, do not copy. Thank God my parents picked me up. For being a Rockefeller, that plain Mr. Dana had me on was scary. Both he and Larry Summers are fucking disgusting. Oh boy. Hope no relation to Tracy. I guess it is a royal thing. Gross. Andrew is like his brother in this way. Should not brag because that was yucky. Does this lady know you can't have any dignity if you've been with him? I know I have none, only Skittles. What does that mean? Walk down Madison Avenue to 71st Street. My mother had lost her fucking mind, even though Ghislaine said it was best to take me home because Mr. Black is so important for some reason over my health. What? There's going to be hell to pay. I ruined their trip and I'm dramatic when that fat fuck bit me. What? He threw me on the floor and blood all over Jeffrey's carpet and I'm the issue? Who the fuck bites someone? Sick. No one is that important, and Leon can go fuck himself. I hate New York. So there's a reference here clearly to Leon Black, who I believe is like a big CEO, big Wall Street guy. Like, what the fuck? And there's the link here to, this exact thing in the Epstein files. Again, to say there's nothing here to prosecute, fucking investigate the Deputy Attorney General who's saying that, right? Like, what the fuck? Oh, my God. Wow, no one found this horrific Donald Trump mention in the Epstein files because it was a handwritten letter that wasn't indexed properly by the DOJ. How convenient. This woman alleges that Donald Trump was involved with Jeffrey Epstein in the sale of young women to the sex trafficking ring of Epstein and the Saudis. She also claims that Trump forced her to miscarriage after she got pregnant. See the entire 32-page letter on the DOJ website, and then here's the letter right here posted by Ed Krasenstein. Elon Musk, how old is the girl in this photo you sent to Epstein? Why did the DOJ redact your email address? Pam Bondi, how do I know it is your email address? The girl looks about 16 years old. She is a victim since the DOJ redacted the image of her face. Follow the thread. I wonder who sent Jeffrey Epstein this picture of a young girl in a SpaceX t-shirt. Okay, so here we go. Redacted, but then you see it's a girl wearing a SpaceX t-shirt, and this was sent to Jeffrey? What the fuck was this? Sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And again, Elon's another one going around pretending like he's vindicated when we have him, like, begging to go to Rape Island, like, desperately wanting to go there. And he's so autistic, being way too straightforward about, like, I'm looking to have a wild time. I'm looking for your wildest party. Whereas Epstein's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, you're supposed to couch this shit and speak in code, you dipshit. Unbelievable. It certainly looks like Jeffrey Epstein conspired with well-known billionaire to undermine democratic institutions and enrich themselves at everyone else's expense. Okay, here we go. So Jeffrey Epstein to Peter Thiel. Brexit, just the beginning. So they're celebrating Brexit. And you're going to see it's because of this divide and conquer mindset. Divide everybody, conquer everybody, and we can cash in off of the division. Ready? Then we get the response here from Epstein to Peter Thiel. Return to tribalism, counter to globalization, amazing new alliances. You and I both agreed zero interest rates were too high. And as I said in your office, finding things on their way to collapse was much easier than finding the next bargain. Jesus Christ. Basically like celebrating the destruction of the world because they know they'll profit off of it. And this is the shadow government that really pulls the strings. A 2017 exchange appears to show a redacted person emailing from Germany asking whether they should only send femme miniature type candidates to Epstein from now on. Who is this person who was feeding young girls to Epstein? Why are they being protected? From Jeffrey Epstein to redacted, okay, I met blank today. She is like Lolita from Nabokov, femme miniature. So now I should send you her type of candidates only? Tomorrow we travel to Bern for visas. Okay, so this is something that we've seen in other parts of the files too, and CoffeeZilla did a thing on this as well. Epstein has like scouts and recruiters that go to these countries, usually like post-Soviet bloc countries, where they're very poor and downtrodden, and he sends his people there, and they literally scout underage girls to be trafficked to them. Like, the whole thing, we already discussed in like the first Epstein leaks, we saw that he had passports of, I believe it was like a dozen girls, mostly from the post-Soviet bloc countries. He had all these passports. And then now we see the scouting that was happening. Now we see the guys who were sent there, and they would get paid. I think we literally have the amount they get paid in the files too. They get like $3,000 each. And they go and they pick out girls and will send pictures, and they will literally like, it's like a finely tuned machine for child sex trafficking is what it is. Just absolutely disturbing stuff. All right, breaking. Proof that the DOJ is scrubbing Epstein files with Trump's name in them. Today, there are 1,513 results for Donald Trump. Yesterday at 9:15 a.m., there were 199 more files, 1,712. If they are doing all of this in front of the public, just imagine what they hid behind closed doors. And that's true. That's true. The fact that we know everything we know, yeah, what the hell are they fucking hiding? Other than, of course, the perpetrators. We know they're hiding the perpetrators. All right, look at this one. So as you can see here, 1,513 results for Trump, and then the day before it was 1,712 results for Trump. So it's just incredible. Like, there's already so much out there. It's already so clear how guilty he is, and they still feel the need to, like, my guess is, here's my actual guess. Trump caught wind of certain things that got out about him, and he, like, reaches out to the FBI and goes, "You motherfucker, you better pull that down. That's all fake news. I can't have that getting out there. What is wrong with you? How dare you release that in the first place? You're going to be fired if you don't pull that down." That's my guess as to what went down. Because, like, you know, this is clearly, like, old man thinking. This isn't, like, you don't realize, if anything, there's a little bit of the Streisand effect going on here where, like, in the attempt to hide it, it's actually going to blow up bigger because people have already downloaded all of the files, right? In fact, but they're trying to make that more difficult now, too. Ready for this? Breaking. It appears that the Trump DOJ just removed access to the zip files to download the entire data sets from the Epstein files. Why? Why? See below, earlier today versus now. Why are they trying to cover up? What are they trying to cover up this time? They have removed all zip files, even the ones that were months old. So they had the ability to do it. Now they don't have the ability to do it. So again, what they're realizing is, oh shit, we want to have the ability to adjust this on the fly because the president's getting mad at stuff with him that's leaking. And so now they're pulling down the ability of everybody to really get all of the files, right? But again, some people have them saved. It's going to be on the internet forever. Anything that's posted is there forever. It's that simple. There is going to be no hiding it. You can try to hide it, but it will get out. The truth will get out. This is the Streisand effect. So Trump is actively involved in the cover-up. He's actively involved in the cover-up right in front of our eyes. And again, I reiterate, what is the fucking point of doing this when, bro, we already have so much fucking dirt about you and Epstein? It is so crazy that he thinks he can get away with this. We know you were his best friend for a decade. We know that you were on his plane at least 8 times. We know that you went to the island, even though you lie about that too. We know that the first time you and Melania had sex was on the Lolita Express. We know that Epstein knew the inner workings of the Trump White House in the first term, and Trump literally offered him a job to keep him quiet in his first term. We know you guys shared a girlfriend. We know he passed off a 20-year-old girl to you in 1993. We know about the creepy love letter you wrote to him on his birthday. We know that you had parties at Mar-a-Lago with just you and Jeffrey Epstein. We know about the pictures that he has of you with a stain on your pants with young girls around you. We know that you were at his house in 2011 with one of the victims, and there's definitely videos of it. We know about the Katie Johnson story. We know about the limo driver in Dallas. They're like, you're not going to get away from this scot-free. You should consider yourself lucky, though, because the Democrats aren't talking about it much, and the media is not talking about it much. But over here in new media land, we are talking about the full truth. We're not hiding anything, unlike them. All right, more. Did New Mexico rig the lottery for Epstein's network? So from redacted to redacted, the subject is Epstein. So it says, redacted, some interesting facts that should be passed on to the investigative agent on the Epstein case. I will also copy Der Mueller. 1. Zorro Trust, belonging to Epstein, won an $80 million lottery ticket in New Mexico. Zorro Ranch, belonging to Epstein, sits close to the U.S.-Mexican border, where most trafficked children are routed prior to being dispersed to the East Coast. Several high-ranking officials and friends of Epstein have confirmed he has sexual relations with trafficked underage minors. Holy shit. So they're saying the ranch was strategically placed to be part of a human trafficking network. Right? And they're also saying Zorro Trust, belonging to Epstein, won a fucking $80 million lottery. And remember, he bought off all these politicians, including politicians in New Mexico, and that one that wound up dead. So did they rig the New Mexico lottery? Jeffrey Epstein's reaction when he was told that RFK Jr.'s second wife had been found dead, quote, whoops. Now, he also said whoops in the context of another murder that they were discussing. He said it, and then he goes, whoops. Like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said this. But he said whoops after it. So here we are again. From Jeffrey Epstein to Eva Dubin, whoops. And you have, right before it, Mary Kennedy found dead in her backyard. He goes, whoops. Why would you say whoops to that? Why would you say whoops? Like I said, now there's all this speculation. Everybody thought, oh, hold on now. RFK's ex-wife killed herself because she found the book that he kept of all the affairs he had with various women and kept lewd, excruciating detail about the affairs that he had. So the story goes, his ex-wife found that and then killed herself. And here we have somebody telling Epstein about that, and he goes, whoops. So did she kill herself? We know, to these people, murder was nothing. We know that. Absolutely disturbing stuff. All right. There are little girls. They have good bodies. Why was the name of this person who sent this email redacted? From redacted to Epstein. This is in 2010. Happy New Year. Yes, I'm here. Just got my visa. I'll go to the 2B Riga agency tomorrow if you want. I walk around. There are little girls. They have good bodies, but the faces weird and they are not so tall. Judging the sexual attractiveness of, quote, little girls. We need this unredacted. From blank to Jeffrey Epstein. This is in 2014. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. From my iPhone. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. By the way, people are speculating, and this part is just speculation. This part's not proven, but like, why the fuck are you redacting their names? Again, what are you doing? The government is proving who's really in charge. It's the fucking shadow cabal of billionaire pedophiles. But some people are speculating this one was actually Trump, that this email was actually Trump. And you know what? I'm fine with people speculating that. I'm fine with people believing that until they fucking release the names of the people who did it, open investigations, and lock these motherfuckers up. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. Oh my God. I'm just finding out that Stephen Hawking, the Stephen Hawking, was not only on Epstein's island, but per the Miami Herald, Ghislaine Maxwell herself said he participated in an underage orgy. Apparently, they made the island ADA compliant to accommodate his arrivals. Jesus Christ. Miami Herald, Epstein befriended a slew of scientists. New records contain orgy allegations against one. And then here's Stephen Hawking in the center during an event arranged by Jeffrey Epstein on the financier's private island in 2006. Epstein files latest. Andrew told disgraced pedophile he wanted to be his pet in damning email. This guy is one of the most perverted of all of them. Because like I said, the last Epstein segment we do, he was implicated in torture and death. Okay? And now we learn stuff like this is coming out. I don't think we've even gotten to the bottom of how depraved that guy is. Do you want me to try to do her or just torture her on Friday? Italian entrepreneur Tancredi Salvatore Marcialo discussing torture with Epstein. So two blank. Do you want me to try to do her or just torture her? 2011. This one came out. Jesus Christ, man. Again, can you believe the MAGA regime, the Trump regime, literally had the Deputy Attorney General go on TV and say, it's not a crime to party with Epstein? All you motherfuckers' hard drives need to be checked, by the way. All of you need to be checked. And again, the next Democrat who goes in there, I'm starting a new category of leftist. Hear me now, quote me later. The law and order leftists. We're going after all the people who committed genocide. We're going after all the war criminals. We're going after all the corrupt goons. And we're going after all the pedophile rapist billionaires, okay? These motherfuckers are satanic, bro. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Why the fuck are emails like this redacted? I found at least 3 very good young poor, but we was so tired. I will cover up this week. Meet this one, not the beauty queen, but we both likes her a lot. 3 very good young poor. Oh my God. How about this one? Confirmed, Epstein trained as a spy under Israeli Prime Minister. The FBI knew the entire time. And if you look down here, where there's green, Epstein was close to the former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, and trained as a spy under him. So yet again, further validation that he had connections to Mossad. He also had connections to Russian intelligence. He also had connection to the CIA. And it was a honeypot blackmail operation involving the most powerful people in the world. And he wound up being directly involved in some of the most important decisions in modern history. Okay, someone in the Epstein circle says they think the best and most dramatic cures would come from baby poop in Nepal mountains. Why is their name redacted? I want to know who this person is and how often they travel to Nepal. That's exactly right. So yet again, they redacted it. This was my idea a while ago. I still think the best and most dramatic cures will come from faraway stool samples that bring different microbes, like healthy baby poop in Nepal mountains. What the fuck? These people, man, they were into like weird eugenics shit, okay? They were into race science, weird eugenics shit. Like, I mean, I always thought it was just bullshit to say that anybody was sort of like a Satanist in a literal sense, like worship Satan. But like after reading this stuff, it seems to me like every fucking billionaire and every elite is in that club. An email to Epstein in 2010 that describes deliberate search engine manipulation to bury reporting on his crimes. They boosted all the other Epsteins to bury any direct searches for his name plus pedophile. This is clear evidence of coordinated deceptive reputation control. There's also that video, somebody working for one of the major networks, I forget which one it was, maybe it was ABC, where she talks about how we had this big Epstein story ready to go, we were going to drop it, and then the higher-ups came in and destroyed it, and they crushed it. That is so crazy, bro. So now he somehow has the ability to rig fucking Google to hide negative shit about him, and he had the ability to crush a big story in ABC about him. How about this? The original 56-page draft federal indictment of Epstein from 2007 is horrific. 32 counts involving 17 minor girls, yet Alex Acosta agreed to drop all of it for a single state-level solicitation charge. We can't bring Epstein back, but if I had any say, I'd be turning the screws on Acosta to understand exactly how this was allowed to happen. It's hard to believe he made that decision on his own. There's a story there, and maybe it even explains how 10 years later he ended up as Trump's labor secretary. How does something like that happen? Well, something like that happens because they told him this is above your pay grade and this person's intelligent, so you have to go easy on him. What does a Pornhub introduction mean in this context? Okay, ready? So here we have, the kid couldn't have done bikini wax cause hair are too short. Next time, her and Elena's nails, kids will come to the house straight from Frederick with iPad portfolio. Done with Pornhub introduction. Jesus Christ. They're talking about kids, man. They're talking about kids. In 2023, Carolyn Andriano, the courageous young mother who helped convict Ghislaine Maxwell, was found dead alone in a West Palm Beach hotel. Her death was ruled an overdose, leaving behind 5 children and a mountain of unanswered questions. Yeah, go ahead and put me on the record as not believing that. If you helped convict Ghislaine Maxwell and you wound up dead, I'm going to go with not a suicide. Jeffrey Epstein survivor who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell dies in Florida. Jesus Christ. In 2002, Ghislaine Maxwell's apparent nephew emails her a wish list of actresses he'd like to do nasty things to and ends it with a thank you very much for offering all of these things. What the fuck are we talking about here? Hi, Aunt Ghislaine. I hope you are well. I look forward to seeing you. When that might be, however, I'm not sure. I'll email you when I'm able to do something with you. As for my wish list of actresses I'd like to do nasty things to, though not complete, would probably look something like this. Natalie Portman, possibly Jennifer Love Hewitt, and Denise Richards. As for things I'd like to do, whether it be in London, New York, New Mexico, or the Caribbean, not quite sure at all, though I will look it up. I will look into it. In New York, besides, see the sights, possibly some theater or something of that sort. Anyway, I've got to run. Thank you very much for offering all of these things. All these things only add up to the reason I would be there, to see you, your nephew. What the fuck, bro? Why is Eva Dubin trying to persuade Epstein to visit her in 2010 by saying her then 15-year-old daughter and 5 of her friends will be there? She dated Epstein from 1981 to 1990 and is currently married to a hedge fund billionaire. To Jeffrey from Eva Dubin, come and visit next week. Selena will have 5 friends over. I'm at the ranch. So here you have a grown woman saying, I have a 15-year-old daughter and 5 of her friends will be there. Why don't you come visit? Oh my God, bro. What the fuck were these people doing? This is how sick Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirators are. I just found this in the Epstein files. This is a very young girl. It makes me nauseous. We need to hold every one of these sickos accountable. We need every email and photo that isn't a victim unredacted. Are you telling me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton never sent a single email to Jeffrey Epstein? Does anyone really believe that? That's exactly right. He's exactly right. All right, watch this one. This is terrible. Clearly, this is a recording of a young kid in the shower, right? In a bathtub. Jesus Christ. Not enough people are talking about Bannon's house that was used by people to film porn, where witnesses saw kids going in and out, and a bathroom was ruined by some kind of acid in the bathtub. From 2017, Esquire magazine. Why was Steve Bannon's hot tub allegedly filled with acid? By Peter Wade. Steve Bannon's porn and meth house. You have no idea what kind of evil stuff went on. What the fuck? When award-winning underwater cinematographer Lawrence Curtis moved into the lush Coconut Grove neighborhood of Miami, he had no idea that the house he was renting would become a national story. But that's because he didn't know the prior tenant was Steve Bannon, advisor to Donald Trump's presidential campaign and now the chief strategist in the White House. Steve Bannon said, remember this one? As God is my witness, if we lose the midterms, we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. Myself included. What the fuck? And we know he was so close with Epstein. He was probably one of the closest people with Epstein towards the end of Epstein's life. And he was invested in clearing his name. He was part of all of this dirt, all of this disgusting stuff. And now, ironically, he fucking virtue signals like he's leading the charge against Epstein. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Epstein confirms Trump knew about his activities and hints at Trump's Russian money laundering. Blank worked at Mar-a-Lago. Trump knew of it and came to my house many times during that period. The testimony of houseman John Alessi confirmed it. So in this email here, what Epstein does is he goes into a dispute that him and Trump had over a property that Epstein was going to buy, and Trump basically swooped in and bought it out from underneath him, right? And of course, Epstein thought that was scummy. And what Epstein describes is, it doesn't make sense how it wound up happening, because he bought it for a low number, and then he sold it for almost double the amount it was during the height of the Great Recession. And the guy who bought it is Russian. And so basically, according to Epstein, Trump was like dead broke, no money, bought this thing, then the Russians come in and pay double for it. And really, according to Epstein, this was effectively money laundering for Russian criminals. That's what Trump was doing here. Look at this. Trump sells Florida house to Russian. In 2008, Donald Trump sold the Mansion de l'Amitié mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, to Russian billionaire Dmitry Rybolovlev, that's a hard one to say, for $95 million, a significant markup from the $41.35 million he paid in 2004. So, bought it for $41 million, sold it for $95 million, way above the market price, especially at that point. The sale, occurring amid the financial crisis, attracted scrutiny due to the high price and the buyer's nationality. The property, located at 515 North County Road, the 6.3-acre oceanfront estate, featured a mansion known as Maison de l'Amitié. The buyer, Dmitry Rybolovlev, a Russian fertilizer magnate, purchased the property, though it was initially held under a limited liability company. The transaction value: Trump purchased the property for $41 million in 2004, sold for $95 million in 2008, sometimes cited as $100 million deal, including closing costs. Rybolovlev never lived in the house. He never lived in it, demolished it in 2016, and subdivided the land into 3 separate lots. So he bought it in 2008, and he didn't do anything with it until fucking 2016. This was a money laundering scheme, and that guy's a fucking oligarch. He's not just a fertilizer magnate. He was involved in fucking organized crime. All right, more. Trump money laundering. Allegations and reports have consistently surrounded Donald Trump and the Trump Organization regarding potential money laundering, often focusing on international real estate, casino compliance, and more. And more recently, cryptocurrency ventures. Reports have indicated that properties like the Trump Ocean Club in Panama were used to launder money for criminal actors, while the Trump Taj Mahal Casino was fined for willful violations of anti-money laundering regulations. Jesus Christ. The Panama property investigation. A global witness investigation suggested that the Trump Ocean Club in Panama was utilized by criminal networks to launder money, with accusations that Trump benefited from these transactions. Casino fines. In 2015, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network fined the Trump Taj Mahal $10 million for repeated willful violations of the Bank Secrecy Act, including failures to report suspicious activities. Crypto ventures. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee Democrats reported that the Trump family's cryptocurrency venture in 2025 attracted investment from foreign entities, and that the administration intervened to halt investigations into related firms. And then this goes on from here. But the point is, he was involved in money laundering. And this is something Epstein was talking about in an email in the Epstein files that just came out. So yet another crime that Trump is guilty of. He was investigated with 91 crimes, charged with 91 crimes, convicted on 34 of them. Some of them got axed because he became president. But Epstein himself was going, yeah, this motherfucker was doing money laundering. So another thing, there's nothing to see here. There's nothing to investigate here. Sorry, but it's not a crime to party with Epstein. Motherfucker, do you think we were born yesterday? Do you think we were born yesterday? Nah, man. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. What we learned from the Epstein files, a shadow government of moneyed interests really runs the world. It's a cabal of pedophile, rapist, billionaire sadists. And the extreme wealth has rotted their souls. They have no conscience. They have no morality. They have no ethics. Okay? They're involved in rape. They're involved in torture. They're involved in murder. They're involved in satanic shit. Okay? It's one big club, and we ain't in it. But right now, they think of themselves as above the law. But now all this stuff is coming to light. We have to make it be the case that they are not above the law. All these motherfuckers need to be locked up. I need to hear this from every single media outlet. I need to hear this from every single Democrat. And we should fucking smack around the Republicans, metaphorically speaking, until they fucking snap out of it. And also are saying, what are we doing here? These people, we need accountability. We need justice. We're not even going to protect children? Which, by the way, somebody had a devastating post the other day where they said, it's not a surprise that the country that looks away as children get mass murdered and mass shootings on a regular basis, that same country is the same one that looks away when there's a mass pedophile scandal. Where, like, basically the top 0.01% are all pedophile rapists, and we all, sit here and act like there's nothing happening. No, it's unacceptable. We got to fight back. We got to wake up. Again, the more this Epstein stuff comes out, the more I'll cover it. But man, this world will never be the same with what we're learning as a result of these files.
Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.